prog after Enrage prog. I underestimated how bad DPS could be. And how unworkable it can be sometimes. So we got walled on Garuda Enrage, then we got walled on Ifrit Enrage, then we got walled on Titan Enrage. And then I got asked, so I was playing Paladin, I got asked to sub in for a group that asked me to join them, that I declined, that were doing fewer hours than I wanted, and they were already on Annihilation prog. And so I subbed in for them. I'd never been past Titan Enrage, and I progged with them all the way to Annihilation, because I'd already studied the whole thing from World First VODs. And I did it on Summoner, which I also hadn't played in there. Because I went in and I just did mechanics, and like it didn't matter if my rotation wasn't right. Kind of like Arthas, someone said he's played Ninja 2 weeks in the lead up to this. Like, you don't have to be exceptional at damage, you just... The problem with my original group had to have been fundamentals. If you can just press buttons efficiently, your rotation can be bad, but you'll still do damage. But if your fundamentals of your uptime, like you just have bad uptime or you're missing positionals or things like that, that's a lot of damage that's getting thrown away that can't be quickly fixed, short of that person just getting a lot better than what they are. Honestly, on any job, pressing buttons and just keeping things on cooldown will get you to a purple at the very least. Every single job in the game, as long as you just press your buttons efficiently. If you're on Black Mage and you do nothing more than just go fire, ice, press everything as you get it, do a triple cast when you have to move, or even just run if you have to move, as long as your G-City uptime is efficient. Like, on Black Mage, you can afford to just run a little bit. Sometimes you have to. Ideally, you can work around it, but that's where it gets more advanced. But if you just move if you have to, you'll still get a purple, as long as the fundamentals are good. A log of an Ice Mage that had their GC rolling the whole time still outdamaged the entire rest of the team. Yeah, so that's an Ice Mage with good... See, the thing is, when people meme and do Ice Mage things, they do it because they have good fundamentals. Like, I guess they're trying to prove a point, or they're just messing around. They're like, let's see how much I can squeeze out of a suboptimal rotation by playing it well. What's the plan? We're still gonna go. We're gonna continue progging. 4 hours a day until we clear. When's the reprog group? I'll think about it sometime this week, I guess. His rotation was actually fine. The way he was doing it, he was able to get Phantom into Trick Attack Mug windows. Every bit of damage counts. Yeah, like, as long as you're just fitting things in your windows and keeping them on cooldown, there might be some nuance to holding this here or delaying this there. But it's going to amount to fractions of a % difference usually, or total raid DPS, compared to like a 10% difference per person sort of thing. If your DPS can do good damage consistently, that's a huge advantage in prog regardless. That can make the difference between being able to run a safer tank comp or healers playing safer. Yeah, you create more room for people to play safe. So our group, for example, if you have the back arrow, we treat it like stillness. You just don't do a G-City in the last 3 seconds because we can afford to, because everyone in the team knows how to pull a 99th percentile if they have to. And so it allows you to pull back a little bit from that for the sake of playing safely. You can afford to let a GCD go for the sake of mechanics when everyone has their fundamentals up to scratch. Everyone's playing otherwise optimally outside of the safe GCDs. So the thing about the Nidhogg eyes is, if we had to spend more to kill them, we would. We're pretty much playing it. We're saving as many resources as possible while still killing them. Sometimes we get good crit RNG and they die. I think we killed it at 87 once. That was like a massive outlier though. Sometimes we kill it at 96 or 97. But our resource spending is not changing. Because we're holding stuff for the next phase, like the next burst window, and then we use as little as possible on that so we have it for the next burst window. Basically, this entire fight is all about spending as little as possible and still getting the job done. Like, we're holding DPS. In every other ultimate, I would never care to hold DPS. Because if you're pushing... if you're beating it like 30 seconds before Enrage, your damage is so good. Why do you need that extra 30 seconds worth of cooldowns? If your plays are that good, you don't. That was how it was in the past ultimates. But this one just has DPS check after DPS check, with very little room for error. And so you want to save as much as you can on one phase, and lead it into the next. Take it into the next phase so that you give yourself more lenience on that one, and if you can save it there, you bring more into the one after that. I might do a reprog with Arthas. I'll ask him if he's interested. I mean, he did want to do one on Elemental, didn't he? Because, we kind of done that. Like, he helped me with, Uwu. And then T came out, and we joined up again to help others. So we helped, who did we help? Vespi, Gorillion, was X there? There was RJ. RJ Devil was there. Yeah, it was like a couple of helpers, and we were clearing for a number of people. And yeah, it's always a good time. I like raiding with Arthas. I like the way he plays. I like his attitude. Teaching Rich. Well, I hope I get to, honestly. I'm not much of a big personality. Maybe they want someone like Arthas in the team instead, so I'm not going to assume that I'll actually be in the group helping. 'Cause I don't network much. I'm not really out there. If I get asked, then sure. Or like if the team stays the same, then sure, definitely. But yeah, I'd love to. I'm not going to assume that that I will get to. It was fun healing with Momo. I got to do a lot of things that were enjoyable in that group. Getting to work with Momo as a co-healer for the first time, it was a good experience. I feel it helped me improve as a sort of a higher end and consistent healer, like just a better way of thinking. Momo's really smart when it comes to healing. So I definitely listened whenever he had something to say about how we should handle healing. He's good people when he isn't being weird. What do you mean by that, Rui? Bedtime? Well, I'm normally awake at this point anyway, Pony. As long as I get 8 hours of sleep, right? I'll take some melatonin soon and just pass out. I'm enjoying the talk. Let me have this. Oh, come on, Fluffer. Honestly, this is helping me to relax. I'm feeling better about things right now. Just by rambling off about stuff. Rambling is what I do best after all. Don't worry, Zindril. I know they're all looking out for me because the honest truth is I have a tendency to not be disciplined when it comes to sleeping enough. And so they're just watching out for me, it's okay. But I'm ignoring them. You join them, go to bed, alright. No. Less melatonin makes you sleepier? Oh, 1 to 3. I just take one. I don't even know how much it is. I just take one pill. If I need to. It is necessary for me during prog, but if I need to wake up in like 5 hours, I won't. But if I need to fall asleep such that I get 8 hours, then I will. Because, especially in prog, my brain is way too active and hyper, and I can't sleep. Oh, but see, Pony, it's imported. It is American melatonin. That's why it actually works. You're calling the police? I mean, it's not illegal to import, they just don't sell it like that here. They don't make it like that here. So much stuff in Australia just feels like placebo. Clash of Clans is 10 years old? What? That's older than some humans. That's ridiculous. Have I seen a bunch of kangaroos? Yes, all the time. Usually dead on the side of the road. They're everywhere. Yeah, kangaroos are prolific. We have literal road signs that say kangaroo crossing, like areas that are known spots where kangaroos will tend to cross the road, so you have to watch out for them. They're roadkill. They get hit by cars. You're driving along at nighttime, it's pitch black, you have the lights on, suddenly kangaroo appears. Bam. Yeah, they're our equivalent of deer, basically. Yeah. Oh yeah, everyone just stays in the party. Valis stays logged in. The party's still here when we come back. Well, see, the thing is, Rui's not wrong. We do actually eat kangaroos in Australia. They're a very lean meat. Have you seen how muscular those things are? Yeah, they're good. Kangaroo meat is good. If you can afford it, it shouldn't even be expensive, because they're literally classified as a pest. Because they ruin farmland. It's been a while since I had kangaroo. Actually, probably the last time I had kangaroo was when I cooked a stir fry with it. Back in probably 2015 or 16. I haven't had it in ages. Yeah, just like you, Val. that was funny. Because it was out of nowhere too. What does it taste like? I mean, it tastes like meat, I guess. It's very lean. Have you ever seen a really muscular kangaroo before? Look at these things. Also, if they kick you, they will... I mean, this stream is technically family friendly. They're gonna open you up. It's very bad. They have a raptor toe claw. If they kick you, they are going to slice. And they jump everywhere, so they... Imagine how strong their legs are. They have a thick, muscular tail that they can lean back on and then kick with both legs. And if they catch you on a soft spot, like your stomach, your abdomen, you might be a goner. So yeah, kangaroos are, or can be, dangerous. I mean, it is Australia after all. And this isn't a meme at all. Like, I'm completely serious. Deadly serious, even. Which is why, if you've ever seen the video of the guy that punched a kangaroo in the face to free his dog, that it was doing a stranglehold on. Okay, this video is so Australian, I have to show it now. I am, Boomy. I'm putting myself in a better mood because of this. It may not look like it, but... I mean, I guess we'll do Aussie Man reviews.
Welcome to fucking out.
Okay, so much for family friendly. It's not me, though. It's... At least I think that's alright. Actually, what language does he use in this video? I'm not sure, because Australians have some language that is a little less appropriate overseas, let's put it that way. Yeah, very colorful. Alright, I just scanned the subtitles. I think it's okay.
Welcome to fucking Outback Fight Day. Here we have a human charging into battle like he's William Wallace. He wants to save his dog from a kangaroo. The kangaroo says, "Steady on, mate. We're in love. We're just having a bit of a hug in the bush. What's the problem, mate? Come on." Oh, but the human viciously throws a punch. Now he looks like he instantly regrets it. The dogs are running around saying, "We're not coming home with you, you abusive cunt."
Oh, man. Sorry. He did. I did not realize. I missed it.
Love story going on between the Roo and the dog. You might say that this human was a hero, but that right there is an interspecies free love hate crime, and I will not tolerate it in my bush. I thought the kangaroo handled it well. He takes a hit to the jaw, and he's like, "WTF, you fuck knuckle. That was a bit of an overreaction. We were only hugging. What kind of dad are you gonna be once we start ass fucking? Anyway, better love story than Twilight."
So, yeah, that happened. Sorry. Did not expect that. Well, actually, I did, but I thought I'd check the subtitles and I didn't. Wait, hang on. Hang on. Have I just been scammed by YouTube. They might have censored the subtitles. Let me double check that. And that's why I didn't see it. Yeah, it's not considered as offensive here. Oh, CANT, it said that? Okay. Oops, wrong video. I was reopening it.
Welcome.
Let me just... Oh, yeah. Okay, that's why I missed it. Unbelievable. Okay, thank you, auto-generated subtitles. Or that bomb being dropped on my stream. As I try to keep things family-friendly around here. Anyway, it might look like a funny video, but that guy, if the kangaroo decided to kick him, would have been in a really bad way. Like, that was actually a life and death situation. It just doesn't look like it. People see the humor of him punching a kangaroo in the face, but don't realize how dangerous it actually was. Rui, I've always felt like crude humor is too cheap. Going through high school, it was just crude humor every now and then. I'm just thinking, like, can you not be a little bit more clever with your jokes? Or, not even jokes, just your way of making people laugh. Like, is your personality just a single dimension? That dimension being crude humor? See, the thing is, Vince, I assume it's Vince, the more inappropriate a fart is, the funnier it is. Like, if it's just in a context where it really shouldn't be, that's where I'll crack up. How did I survive the content creator D's nuts era? I stopped reading people's questions, actually. If someone asked me something and they used any term I wasn't familiar with, or it started with a D or an N, or it had DN in it or anything, I was extremely careful to avoid reading it out loud. And I mean, yeah, I raid with Mr. Happy. It's still ongoing. Same time tomorrow, Rui, and then according to Pharaoh's post announcement, we're going to do 1 hour earlier than usual for 4 hours daily, with the exception of 1 day a week. Pharaoh said he needs 1 personal day until we clear. I'm hoping we just close it out tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Is Drew North? So Drew is Dragon Song's Reprise Ultimate. And North is the direction on the arena that points north. It is literally northward in Drew. Yeah, that's what it is. You don't understand north. It's that way. Who decides what north is? NA. NA does. NA pugs decide which way is north. So it could be completely different depending on the instance. Even depending on the players in your group. Yeah, it's... In fact, north is whatever you want it to be. That's what I learned from NA Pugs. Because, see, the thing is, if you call something relative north, then you're treating something as north, and everything else relative to that is east, west, and south. But NA has come up with a thing called relative true north, so they are literally moving true north somewhere else. I've seen it happen. And I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's real. Wow, 4D? Wow, okay, let me see. I think I can guess what this might have been. $4D? Look at 4D. There's actually... I did that call out a couple of days ago, and I also said wow. I said, look at 4D, wow. You feature twice in this fight. Aren't you lucky? You show up in phase 2, and then you show up as waymarks. Genuinely though, in attempting to transition into harder content, trying to understand relative north has thrown you for a loop so much. I don't know. It always made sense to me, because I prefer relative directions. Maybe it's a cultural thing, because apparently there are certain languages and or cultures, or both in one, where their language doesn't use relative directions as much, like left and right. Rather, they have a tendency to use north, south, east, west, like the absolute north, south, east, west to refer to a direction. And because it is part of the culture and they grow up like that, those people have more of an innate sense of what direction they are facing at any given point in time. So they just kind of know. And I think probably the weather and the sun and that sort of thing plays a factor as well, where if you spend your entire life in that culture, of course, you're just gonna kind of understand. So it could be that, because to me using east and west confuse me, honestly. When I play with Americans, I feel like they have a much higher tendency to use east and west, whereas Australians tend to use left and right. We use relative direction a lot more than Americans do, whereas Americans, at least in my experience, use cardinal directions more. And so I just haven't grown up using north, south, east, and west. North and south are obvious. And east, I understand east is to the right, west is to the west. But because I haven't grown up with that, if someone says go west, there isn't this instantaneous, like, let's say I'm looking north. Okay, so here's a good example. I have just made this direction relative north. So I guess that kind of explains it. Like, this is relative north, which would make this relative west. So in my example, if this is north, if someone says west, I can't just instantaneously do this. It's not an immediate reaction. I have to think, I have to process it first. I have to convert it into this direction. Whereas if you say left, I don't have to think. I just immediately go left. So it may be just an exposure issue, like what you've grown up with, what you've grown up around, what your culture is like, that changes whether that sort of thing is easier or harder for you. So for me, relative directions are much more intuitive than absolute cardinal directions. Metric, thanks for 16 months, welcome back. Also, there've been a bunch of follows. Thanks for all the follows, guys. I appreciate it. Do other fights have an enforced north like P4S, where east-south, north, south, east, west is in the mechanic? You mean phase 1? Where the boss will jump to a cardinal and you have to go that way? Pinax. You're talking about Pinax? I mean, technically every mechanic... Actually, most mechanics in this game, and we've talked about it recently, like today. Almost every single mechanic in this game uses cardinals or intercardinals as spawn points for things. And usually it is very specifically on those spots, or some form of rotation, like 90 degrees around. Well, 90 degrees is the next cardinal, but they have a tendency to design mechanics in this game using geometry. So the solutions to mechanics tend to be very geometric, like how many triangles can you squeeze into a certain area of a circle, for example, like well, actually, I happen to have it right here, like this. This is a geometric puzzle of a mechanic, basically. Like, each of these cones is, I believe, was it 22.5 or was it 11.25? It was one of the two. But basically, half of 90 is 45, half of 45 is 22.5, half of that is 11.25. Those are the numbers they tend to use in this game, because that creates that allows for solutions to mechanics that just fit within the space. Whereas if you just picked an arbitrary number, you might come up with a mechanic that is impossible to solve within the area. Whereas I'd imagine the way they design mechanics is they'll have an intended solution and then they'll just cut it up geometrically. It does make it easier to program as well. Everything in this game is all mathematical. Like, things are mathematically positioned. But that's also why, and this is why we talked about it, these exaflares are so weird. Because this breaks that rule. They are boss relative. They spawn on the boss. So if the boss rotates like this, so do the exaflares. So all of a sudden you can't use ground markings unless you position the boss facing absolute true north. You have to have the position right, otherwise the entire mechanic will be randomly rotated. So that's why this mechanic is so weird, because this entire fight actually breaks a bunch of conventions that have been in the game. The first one you'll encounter is forced arm's length. There has never been a mechanic in the game where you have been absolutely required to use arm's length to solve it. I don't even know what it's called. I've just noted as second guide tech. The second thought in phase 1 mechanic. The fire and ice, meteors and towers. You have to use arm's length on that mechanic. It's basically everyone except the people in the middle press this button or you die. Sanctity of the Ward, that's the one. What's the first one? Something of the Ward, I don't know. I've never read the cast bars. Strength of the Ward. Is double cauterized force tank involved? Short of there being a legitimate solution to handling those dots, yes. Because that phase throws 4 tank busters at you that deal 130k each, so you need a minimum... how much is it? Let's see. You basically need a minimum of a rampart plus something. Like, plus a reprisal and then a shield. So it's like 30% minimum and then some in order to survive those busters. They throw 4 of them at you within the span of 2 minutes. You can have your 30% up for the first and the last one. You can have rampart for one of the ones in the middle. But outside of that, all you have are your small cooldowns. Granted, Sheltron is enough. Sheltron is 20% and 15%. So it's just enough, but it's basically my entire health pool. So I do require a shield. It's exactly that, yeah. So the first one is we use our 30% and personals, like small cooldowns. The second one, we use only our small cooldowns, because Rampart is still on cooldown from the previous phase. That's why this is so strict. So we use our small cooldowns and we require party assistance. So either a shield from a scholar or a sage, or an Addle. Revenge has to use Addle, otherwise I die half the time. It's really strict. This fight really is a team effort, which is also why it's so good, but also why it's so hard to prog. It is possible to carry the other ultimates for the most part. Like, T is a little bit harder to carry, but you can carry Uwu and Ukob just by saying... You can easily just tell everyone what they need to do, and there's only a few things happening at a time. Especially in Uwu, it's just the follow the danger Dorito strat, where everyone's movement is the same, and it's just a choreographed dance. Whereas this one is just every player has equal responsibility, which I love, but it also makes it so punishing. Because I've always complained that tanks get left out of mechanics a lot of the time. But in this fight, tanks are included. And on top of that, tanks have tank mechanics. It really did feel like, once upon a time, tanks had aggro management. Like, aggro management was a mechanic. You had to have stance on, you had to circle shirk to maintain aggro if you didn't have stance on. You had to do enough damage to maintain aggro, or you would have to do an aggro combo. It was an extra thing you had to think about. So it was kind of understandable that tanks didn't get included in the more complex mechanics that the rest of the party had to do, because they had to do their own thing. But I feel like when they removed that added tank responsibility, they didn't put in extra mechanics to compensate for the longest time. So all of Shadowbringers and the first tier of Endwalker still felt kind of the same. Like, tanks didn't really have this added responsibility. In this fight, not only do tanks get included in a lot of the full flex and priority system mechanics, the aggro management is more involved, especially in the final phase, where you can't just tank swap shirk. You have to actually stance on, stance off. But the cooldowns are so strict as well, and the boss positioning also really matters. Because of the really bad cleaves. You really don't want to hit people. Cleaving... Like, regular auto-attack cleaves haven't been in the game for so long. Or even just auto-attack... just untelegraphed busters, mini busters that cleave. Those were a thing back in A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, and they kind of just phased them out. And they made tanking a little bit of a baby role in that regard. Like, it was very hard to fail at tanking. That's why a lot of people from WoW come in saying they have tank anxiety, how is tanking in this game, and I say, it's fine, it's actually really hard to mess up. It's not going to be the same thing that you experienced in WoW. Most recently was used in Diamond Weapon. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Somewhat recent. I mean, Diamond Weapon. I enjoyed Diamond Weapon. I thought that was a good fight. What do I think of how they changed ARR dungeons? I haven't actually looked at them at all. And I'll be honest, Dragoon, I'm a little bit concerned having heard that they did that. Because if you were around my stream in the lead up to Endwalker, we were filling the dead time by doing min eye level A Realm Reborn dungeons, the post level 50 ones. Have those been changed? Because we went back, just a group of us, and we started going through these. Not these two, but we were going through these. Min eye level. The post 50... Okay, that's good. Because these dungeons, when you do them min eye level, are actually really fun. A lot of them. They're mechanically way more challenging than modern day dungeons. The bosses are more interesting, the layouts are more interesting, they're actually fun to explore. Because a lot of them, like Wanderer's Palace and Amdapor Keep, Pharos Sirius, they have extra corridors and things, like, and chests to find even. I mean, there is a minion in Amdapor Keep if you go out of your way to open the chest, there's a chance of it. That's something that doesn't exist anymore in modern day dungeons. But the level 50, the leveling dungeons, I'm okay if they streamline those, because those were often painful. Matoya's Relict is... Oh man, it's down there between that and Smileton. No, Matoya's Relict is worse than Smileton by far. That fight... So, look at this ultimate, for example. If you mess something up, like, there are certain things that are recoverable. You're just punished for it. Or there are certain timings in the fight where if you do something a certain way, it's gonna cause issues. Like, it's designed very intentionally to punish you for a mistake. Matoya's Relict, that second boss was one of the... It has to be the worst designed boss in the game. If you get hit by a mechanic, it gives a Vuln stack. What are Vuln stacks supposed to do? They make you take more damage to the next mechanic. What mechanic? What next mechanic? That Vuln stack literally falls off before anything will hit you again. What's the point? It is so badly designed. It doesn't make any sense. Like, who designed that? It's so bad. And then and then DPS can stack all 4 tethers with a spread. Yeah, the water boss. Atsu, thank you for the Prime sub. Welcome aboard. Very much appreciated. Mist Dragon is the hardest dungeon boss in the game. Oh, I'd challenge that. I would say the second boss of Pharos Sirius. Second or first? First boss. First boss is Pharos Sirius. If you mess up the mechanics on that, your entire party blows up. And even then, the interesting thing about first boss of Pharos Sirius is there's... Yeah, the Crystal Man with the Wolves, Seymour, yeah. I still, for the longest time, for literally like 6 years, I didn't know how to do that boss. All I did every single time was burn it before it did anything. Kill it before it kills us, basically. When we went back and did it min-eye level, we had to actually prog the fight. We had to learn how to do it. Which was... I mean, I think there's maybe a Mario Kart strat if the tank gets aggro and then runs out of range of the exploding dogs. But then there's also that giant AoE in the middle, and then there's the crystal, like the filthy puddles blocking your path, restricting the space. What we did was each person got aggro on their own dog and separated them, so you only took 1 stack each. Like, that's a hard dungeon boss. Like, that's a lot to ask out of a dungeon party. To have to coordinate mechanics like that with DPS getting aggro. He spawns more dogs. Yeah, that boss just turns into absolute chaos so fast. And honestly, it was so much fun. I had so much fun doing min-eye level dungeons because you experience them in a way you didn't before. Another good one is the end of, is it Lost City of Amdapor? Yeah, end of this one, Diablos. That's another hard dungeon boss. Because you have to remember the matching doors. And you only have a moment to look at them. Think about that, a mechanic like that back in 2015. You used to have one person that knew what was up, that would just stand in the middle and mark them They would just do like 1, 2, bind 1, bind 2, triangle plus. Like, there would just be one person that carried the party by marking the doors, and they would run and open them, and someone else would see that and open the matching door. And then you had to time it right as well, otherwise... I mean, when we did that dungeon, min eye level, we wiped. In fact, I think there was a really funny clip that came out of it. Where we came out of the door, and there was a puddle, like there was one of those black holes that had been left there, and we just blew up immediately. You don't get that in modern dungeon design in Final Fantasy. So I do wish they'd bring back at least, like, it's not that difficult. It just takes like a random group of players a couple of tries to learn and beat it. But I think that's fine for a dungeon, like proper hard mode dungeons, where it does take a couple of attempts for a group to learn and beat it the first time. Whereas modern day dungeons, you kind of just throw yourself into it without any care, and most of it is just intuitive mechanics that make sense, and if you fail it, it doesn't punish you. I wonder if I can find a tweet, a quote from Mr. Ozma that I think Momo or Arthas tweeted. Who knows the one? Maybe you've seen it. Thanks for follow, Crimmy. Was it Sphere? Or maybe it was, Theo tweeted it, or someone replied. Let me see. Let me check Sphere's tweets. FF Sphere, not the Sphere. Thanks for follow, Archangel. Where are his replies? Tweets and replies. Still can't find it. Was it Momo? Maybe it was Momo. Maybe it was Cleese. I really don't know. I feel like it might have been Momo, actually. The long and short of it was an interview with, I've forgotten his actual name, but Mr. Ozma, where he was asked if he would design an ultimate fight, and he said he would like to, and he was also detailing his philosophy behind fight design. Oh, have you found it? Vespa? Oh yeah, this is it, yep. So he says, I have my own policy when it comes to dungeons. For example, players who fail mechanics, even in dungeons, should be defeated and wipe, and that's something I often tell the members around me. That's what I think as well. I believe in this. I don't think everything in the game should be a one and done cakewalk. Because I understand dungeons are a story delivery medium, but what I'm asking for is not that difficult. I'm saying it should take a random group of players doing it the first time ever a couple of tries. I don't think that's unreasonable. And I don't mean every dungeon, I mean hard mode dungeons. Like, you know, hard. Actual hard. Like they used to be. Because you had hard, and then you had extreme, and extreme was a step above that. Extreme is considered easy mode. Easy mode raid content these days, which is kind of weird. Yeah, there is no hard mode anymore. And then he says, since a dungeon is made with the intention for players to farm constantly, it has to be made easy and every player has the ability to solve. Therefore, there should be some room allowed for players to continue despite failing mechanics, but I think that should not be the case. So he's just... the reason this was brought up was to keep it in mind when considering this ultimate, where he is... Like, you consider P6, there is some room to continue despite failing. If you die to Nidhogg, you can continue, unless it's the Mortal Vow target. If you die to Hrace Velga, you're done. Phase is over. You don't get to see more. It's gonna clean up. Yeah, like this to me is the philosophy that I like, that I'm in line with. And it doesn't mean, like, the more casual player will look at that and be like, well, what about me? And I agree. What about you? There should be content for you. There should be content for me. This is an MMO with a lot of different playstyles and a lot of different content. Oftentimes when someone shares an opinion about wanting content to be harder, people take the stance of it's either or. You need like 2.5 Zephs of effort tomorrow so we can conclude this. Okay, Revenge. I'll finish up. That's a good point. Yeah, I'll conclude the ramblings. Head battle designer. Yeah, I mean, as long as it's balanced. Because I do agree, you need to consider... That's what Yoshi P's good at. He's good at considering all players. And while that may be annoying to me sometimes because I'm not being catered to, I understand that he's doing it for the greater good of the entire game. It does have to be balanced. Doesn't that mean Revenge should go to sleep too? Yeah, it does. Axaray, thanks for following. Alright, we better wrap this up, because we do have 4 hours tomorrow, and it needs to be a good 4 hours, so... Revenge has the right of it. I shouldn't be going into that feeling tired. On the bright side, or like at the very least, I tend to be very awake and alert from like the 10th minute onwards. Like I might take a bit to wake up if I've literally just woken up, but I tend to be up and ready at least once the coffee is kicked in. Don't send myself into a food coma. Yeah, I'm going to be mindful of what I eat as well. Good luck with prog and a restful 4 hours. Yeah, so I'm gonna go to sleep, and I'm gonna give myself 8 hours in bed. If I wake up early, like that's a problem for me on the other side of my sleep. I might. I guess we'll see. But I mean, I'm kind of relaxed now. The hardcore hours are over. The top 10 in the race has already been sorted, so I'm sort of like mentally not as invested anymore. I think I hope I can relax enough to just sleep. Is getting to last phase multiple times in 4 hours considered good accomplishment? Depends on the team. It is hard to do. It demands perfection, pretty much. Or maybe a few mistakes depending on what they are. You need really good consistency. Now that hours are relaxed, I can start to play Hitman. Vala, I haven't counted out Elden Ring. Like, I still want to go back and do New Game Plus. I want to try a magic build. Like, I was still really enjoying Elden Ring when Ultimate hit. That's a great game. You'll miss full day progging? Yeah, I know, it's gonna be weird. 4 hours over. If we don't clear, it's just like, well, what now? What do I even do? Alright, let's find someone to raid and then I'll just get out of here. What about Sebi? Sebi's a good guy. He's an Australian. He's entertaining. Definitely a different style of stream to mine, but we like variety around here. He's doing a fashion show. Any Sebi subs in chat? He's doing content in Final Fantasy different. He's putting on a show, for sure. Like, his stream is very much so a show within Final Fantasy. Whereas a lot of us, the content tends to be the central part. Like, the fights themselves, us doing the fights, tends to be the show. Sebi is the show. Yeah, that couldn't have put it better myself. You're right. And Final Fantasy XIV is his medium. I think he's he could go on to have success in the broader Twitch sphere, I think. He's got the stuff for that. Alright, anyway, I guess I'll eat a little bit and have a shower and go to bed. I'll take some melatonin and have a shower and probably fall asleep immediately after. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening as well. It's just rambling did help to ease me a bit. I mean, my heart rate went down. It was sky high before the ramble, so I think it helped me to relax. So, thank you, everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow, and hopefully we get it done.